Strutmasters.com and Santiago Performance have teamed up once again to show you just how easy it is to go from air to non-air. Now this 94 Continental over my head has a couple of things that I want to show you before we put it on the ground and tear it all apart. Come on in here. This little switch right here is your air switch. Now we've already cut the line out just to keep it out of the way, but it's a two-post turn. You turn it once, it'll come out, if it wants to. It'll pop out when the air comes out, like that, and then you turn it one more time, and the clip, and the whole plug will just come right out. There it goes. Now that plug has to come out in order to get the airbag out. The other thing you need to worry about is this little spring-loaded clip right here. This is what holds it in on the top. You just push it in. It's real easy to do, and it'll release it. But before you get to the top and take that clip out, you need to drop the bottom. This whole bracket has to come out to install the clip, and we'll show you that in a little bit. But it's also spring-loaded clips right here. You just push them, the whole bag comes out. It's a lot easier to do. I'm going to show you how to do it on the ground right now. Once again, Strutmasters and Santiago Performance have teamed up to show you exactly how easy it is to go from air to non-air. You got to remember some simple things. A basic hand tool kit, you never know, you might need a hammer, so you got to have one of them. A good wrench set, and the parts. And here's our parts kit for this 96 Lincoln. All we got to do is bust it open and see what we got. Hey, this razor's really sharp. Oh yeah. We've got the spring kit here. I'll cut this side off here. Here's our spring kit with our rubber stoppers, which is very important, because this is going to go on the bottom of the control arm, because this car does have independent rear suspension. This will go on the bottom of the control arm to locate the spring, so it's kind of a dampener. And something that's really important with these Strutmaster setups is orientation of the springs. Now, when you orientate the springs, you always want to make sure that the letters are facing the back of the car. It's really important, because if you have one where the letters are facing forwards or to the side and the other one facing back like it's supposed to, the car could set uneven. And then you're going to be calling the tech line wondering why your car isn't sitting right. So it's really important to take notice of that. Something else that's really important in this whole setup, the instructions. Read the instructions. It's got the information that you need, where to turn off the switch for the ride control, where to cut the wire that's underneath the dashboard so your air pump doesn't work constantly and burn up. Really good information. Make sure you read the directions. Now we're going to do this install the way you would do it in your driveway or in your garage, on the ground with a floor jack and a set of jack stands. So it might take a little bit longer, so don't forget to map out your weekend or your time off accordingly, because it's going to take you roughly 3 hours to do this job with the basic hand tools. You figure an hour aside. We'll go 4 hours just to make it easy. 4 hours, front, back, and the rear. Hour a wheel. It's real easy. So let's get started. I'm taking my springs out of here. Something that's really important when you're doing these air ride setups, you have to turn the air system off. There's a switch back here in the trunk. It's just a little on-off toggle switch. Rocker switch, I'm sorry. It's just a little rocker switch, you turn it off. Now, the reason why you want to turn it off is because when you're working on the vehicle and you jack the vehicle up, the air system is going to want to work. It's going to want to try and level the car if you leave the system on. It's really important. You ever go to a tire store and they put your car in a two-post lift? They pick the thing up, the wheels hang down. If they don't turn that switch off, your air system's going to run, because your car is thinking that it's not on the ground, so it's going to want to level off the whole vehicle. That's how you blow an airbag. I was talking to a friend of mine. He actually told me he was working in a dealership. They picked up the car, didn't turn off the switch, put the car back down, it was bottomed out like ours is. So it's really important to make sure that you ask that question just as a regular consumer. Our switch is off. Next step, jack it up, start replacing parts. The first thing you want to do is loosen your lug nuts. And the reason why you want to do it with the weight on the vehicle is this way you can loosen them. I couldn't get the floor jack underneath the rear end like I wanted to, so I jacked it up behind the bumper. I had a smaller set of jack stands that I put underneath the frame rails when I got it high enough, which allowed me to get the rear end lifted up by the floor jack. Then I took my bigger jack stands and I put them underneath the frame rail. Instead of putting them under the rear end like most guys would do, I put them underneath the frame rail for one very simple reason. This rear end has to be able to hang down at the appropriate time so I can take the air springs out. For safety reasons, I actually have the jack stands underneath the frame rails and I left the floor jack under the rear end. That's strictly for safety. Just in case something happens, I've got 3 points holding the back of the car up. It's for my safety and it's yours. Safety is the #1 priority when doing any kind of job on a car. Okay, we've got the switch turned off for the air ride sensors, so now the system isn't trying to work while we're taking the airbag off. We've already taken care of the line and the plug. I showed you that earlier on the lift. Now we're down to taking out the actual airbag itself. There's 3 bolts. There's 2 on the back side on the arm, and then there's 1 up front. You have to take those 3 bolts out, and then this cradle will actually be loose. See, it's moving. Then you take the spring clip that's on top, that's part of the bag. You can press the little springs there. It'll release the bag, and the bag will actually come out along with this lower cradle. Then you're ready to start your install. So let's get this bag out. And the bag is out. Nice, easy. Now see, here's what I was talking about before. You've got the 2 holes for the arm and then the 1 hole. That's all that holds this bag in on the bottom. Now to take this bag out, it's got spring clips right here. All you have to do is compress them, and it may take a little bit of fumbling, but you can get it. Or you might need the trusty screwdriver. Let's see what we got here. I laugh in your face. Now we're ready for our bottom pad. Now if you look at these isolators, they're already labeled. Bottom rear, top rear. Real simple stuff. All you got to do is take the appropriate one. It goes right in there like that. Real simple. So you need to make sure that the small end is on the top, which means the rear plate fits inside the hole. That's what keeps your spring in place, and then the bottom one will fit inside that hole. That way your spring doesn't want to slide in and out. Always make sure you check your parts. Let's put all these pieces in.